You're listening to The Pump Fake.
All right, everybody. Hello and welcome into this live edition of The Pump Fake. We are powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Week 14. Week 14, man. Can I just say how much it sucks how fast this always goes by? Legitimately, like, don't get me wrong. Like, playoffs are great, and I love this time of year. I'm a big Christmas guy. Obviously, Thanksgiving's great. We just had that last week. But it feels like, week one was, just a blink ago. And now we're a month away from the postseason starting, and then I got to hear the phrase mock draft for 3 months, and it's just going to drive me insane. So I wish it would slow down. Once we get into the NFL season, we're off and running, and it just goes by way too fast. So week 14 is here. We'll go through. I'll give you my best bets of the weekend. I'll pick every game. It'll be a nice, just quick Saturday show, get you in, get you out, maybe help you make a little bit of money along the way. So if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening as a podcast, leave a comment, leave a review. Helps out the show a ton. So let's get started. First and foremost, again, best bets. Most of these will be against the spread. There is one of my best bets that is not. It is an over-under, so we'll get into it. First up, I'm going to take the Falcons plus 6.5 against the Seahawks. Seattle coming off a dominant win against Minnesota, 26-0 shutout where they just dominated poor Max Brosmer. Defensively, they look awesome. Offensively, like quietly, haven't looked great over the last number of weeks. Sam Darnold has been on a bit of a slump, kind of dating back to that first game against the Rams where he threw 4 picks. Again, defensively last week against Minnesota, they look great. Offensively, they were fine. They didn't do anything to blow you out of the water. Atlanta, 4-0-1 as underdogs. That is the biggest thing for me, especially at home. They play better at home than they do on the road. I think Seattle wins. I think the Falcons keep it at least interesting. Maybe Kirk Cousins has a game that turns back the clock a little bit. But no Drake London. That's certainly going to go against the grain in terms of having a downfield threat and having a red zone threat when it comes to the passing game. But with Bijan Robinson, with Tyler Algier, I think that Atlanta can cover a 6.5 point spread. Again, 4-0-1 when covering as underdogs. So I'll take Atlanta plus 6.5 against Seattle. Number 2 on the docket here, I will take the Packers minus 6.5. There's no trends that support this. This is more so just like my gut feeling of like, all right, the Bears aren't going to win every game, and eventually they're going to fall off a little bit. I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any means. I think Green Bay will win by like 7 or 8. But I do think that Green Bay, dominant performance on Thanksgiving against the Lions. Now, I know Chicago had a really nice performance against Philadelphia as well. The Packers offense, in terms of what they've been able to do, has been much more dominant than Philadelphia. And I think that they keep this train rolling. I think getting Christian Watson back has been really big for them. We saw he had a big performance against Detroit. Romeo Doubs as well. Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Like, their offense is very dynamic. And if they can get pressure on Caleb Williams and force some mistakes, I think that they can win this by more than 6. And get the win and cover. Again, no trends support this, by the way. Green Bay, 1-4 when it comes to covering as away favorites. The one time that the Bears were home dogs, they covered. So none of these trends will back this up. And if you want to go against me here on that because of that, totally hear you. But I am going to take Green Bay minus 6.5. Third one, I'm going to take the Steelers plus 5.5 against Baltimore. Every year that these two teams play, going into both matchups, everybody's like, oh, yeah, the Ravens, much better team. They're going to win this, going away. The Steelers are 7-3 against Baltimore in their last 10. Now, they're 0-2 in their last 2. However, when talking about just the overall trend, the Steelers have been pretty dominant against Baltimore in recent history. They've also been able to keep Lamar Jackson pretty in check throughout his career. And again, the last 2 games, they've played pretty well. Baltimore has. The Steelers also won't have Derek Harmon in this game when it comes to stopping the run. But Derrick Henry hasn't had a great year. Lamar is clearly a step slower, and the hamstring's been bothering him. If Pittsburgh goes into this with the mindset of, all right, we're going to crowd the box, we're going to, make Derrick Henry as little a factor as possible and make Lamar Jackson beat us from the pocket, then I think that they have a pretty good shot. And not just covering, but winning outright. We'll get into that with the full slate of picks. But I'll take the Steelers plus 5.5. Again, all of these odds courtesy of our friends over at FanDuel. Let's go into number 4. The Rams minus 8.5 against the Cardinals. And I know a lot of these, Green Bay 6.5, Arizona and Los Angeles 8.5. These are bigger numbers. But when you look at the Rams, last week, if not for 2 turnovers, basically in the red zone, the fumble that Stafford had was on like the 22. If not for 2 turnovers there, they put up 40 on Carolina and they win. I know it's, ifs, this and that, ifs and whats are for shits and butts, whatever. I hear you. But I fully expect the Rams to bounce back against a Cardinals team that's just inferior to them. 8.5 can be done. The Cardinals right now 1-3 in covering as home dogs. The Rams are 3-1 as away favorites. The only time they haven't covered was when they faced Carolina last week. I think they get back on the horse. They win in dominant fashion against a bad Cardinals team. So give me the Rams minus 8.5 on the road against Arizona. And then the final one, like I said, there was going to be one in here that wasn't, and against the spread, this is an over-under. I'm going to take the under 41.5 Jets Dolphins. It's Tua and the Dolphins in cold weather. It's the Jets offense. Not a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. Doesn't need any more explanation than that. I will take the Jets and Dolphins under 41.5 for week 14. And just to give you the full list, here we go. Week 14 best bets from me. Atlanta plus 6.5. Green Bay minus 6.5. The Dolphins and Jets under 41.5. Rams minus 8.5 on the road against the Cardinals, and the Steelers plus 5.5 on the road against Baltimore. If you parlay all 5 of those on FanDuel, it comes to plus 23.54. So if you bet 10, you win roughly 230 on FanDuel. And those are the best bets. We'll pick every game on the slate right after this word from Whatnot. This episode of the Pump Fake is brought to you by Whatnot. Guys, if you know me, you know how big of a nerd I am. That's right, Rex Ryan. Mike McDaniel isn't the only nerd boy associated with the NFL. I've given a tour of my office before on social media. It's decked out wall to wall with a lot of Batman toys, collectibles, horror stuff, Michael Myers, Art the Clown. As you see behind me in the backdrop, lots of NFL memorabilia and things of that nature. And a lot of this stuff, specifically all the DC and all the horror, a lot of that stuff was found on Whatnot. And whether you are into Batman like me, if you're a Marvel person, another DC entity, horror, pro wrestling, NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever sport tickles your fancy, I promise Whatnot has something for you. Click on the link in the description to get started today and find something for you, for somebody else. It's almost Christmas time. Maybe you want to find somebody special in your life, something that they enjoy collecting or something associated with it. Whatnot is the perfect place to go for all of your collectible needs, or again, somebody that you value in your life and their collectible wants and needs. And with it being the holiday season, this is the perfect time to get started. So head over to whatnot.com. The link is in the description below, and start sharing, shopping, and connecting. All right. Welcome back to the Pump Fake, powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Let's roll through the Week 14 slate and get all these games picked before we get to, conference championship weekend in college football. I'm not the biggest college football guy. I keep up with it enough, but clearly not enough to know what games are taking place in terms of the conference championships. I know, Indiana, Ohio State for the Big Ten championship. That'll be a fun one. That'll be the one I have my eyes on as a Penn State fan, and a Big Ten guy. That'll be one that I pay the most attention to. So let's start week 14. We'll start with the Dolphins and the Jets. Dolphins are 3-point favorites, but it's plus money if you take them to win and cover, plus 100 odds right now. If you pick the Dolphins -3, I'm going to take the Jets +3, and I think I'm going to take the Jets. Cold weather Dolphins, not good. I don't think, Tua's never won in a game that's like below 40 degrees. It's going to be cold in New York. The Jets seem to have found something in Aaron Glenn where they are playing for him, and defensively, even after trading Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, they seem to have found something there. So I'm going to take the Jets at home to win against Miami. And again, one of my best bets, the under 41.5 in this game. Seahawks, Falcons. I'm going to take Seattle to win, but we're taking Atlanta to cover the 6.5-point spread. You think eventually that the Seahawks will lose a game that, we've seen their defense come alive, but again, offensively, they've been in a little bit of a funk. New Orleans and Tampa Bay, the Bucks 8.5-point favorites. I will take the Bucks to win and cover. Yeah, the Saints are just bad. I see a lot of people like putting up cut-ups of Tyler Shuck on Twitter. I'm not going to pretend I've watched a ton of Saints football in terms of the all-22 this year. So I'm not going to make a comment on it, one way or the other. But I do think it's silly that we're trying to make. We do it every year with different quarterbacks, right? Hell, earlier this year, a lot of people were doing it with Spencer Rattler. Like, we can calm down a little bit. The Saints are just a bad football team. They're still probably going to draft a quarterback in the first round in April. But I do think Tampa Bay, they ended their brief skid last week against Arizona. Bucky Irving came back. They're getting as healthy as they possibly can. I believe they activated Mike Williams as well. So they're going to try to get him back before the playoffs or for the playoffs, which would be good to see. I'll take the Bucks to win and cover the 8.5-point spread. Commanders, Vikings. I'm actually going to take Minnesota here. I know that Jaden Daniels is coming back. This is a bad football team for the Commanders. Defensively, not good. They don't have any weapons on offense. J.J. McCarthy isn't good, but I believe in the Vikings defense. So I think that's going to end up being the difference here. Easy underplay here for me, 43.5. Bet the under. So I'll take Minnesota. They're 1.5 dogs at home. I think that they win outright. Colts, Jaguars. The Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Daniel Jones' leg, he has to wear a special brace, special cast on it, whatever. It's he's got a partial break in his leg. The Colts have been in a free fall. They started off 7-1. They've lost three of their last 4 and are now 8-4. Jacksonville leads the division right now. Huge implications in this game. If Jacksonville wins and gets to 9-4 on the year and sends Indy to 8-5, holding the full game lead, the Colts, I still believe, have another game against Houston. The AFC South still has a bunch of games against one another. So this is obviously a big one. The Jags 1.5 dogs at home as well. I'm going to hesitantly pick Indianapolis. I just believe in Shane Steichen and the Colts offense more than I can believe in the Jaguars offense at this point. They put together a nice win over Tennessee where they didn't allow a touchdown last week defensively. But I do think that the Colts end this, little funk that they've been in and get a win for the first time in Jacksonville in over a decade. Steelers, Ravens in Baltimore. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. Now, as a Steelers fan, I don't think that that's the best thing for them because, and Paul Zeese wrote a really good piece talking about how if they win, it's just going to further the delusion that they can do anything that's different than what it's been over the past, 5 to 10 years. And I agree with that. I don't think winning is good for them long-term because I think that it will trick, Art Rooney and whomever is in charge of making the decisions in Pittsburgh and keeping Mike Tomlin longer than he should be around. So, as a Steelers fan, I know a lot of people in the fan base have just said, I just kind of want them to bottom out so they make real changes. But I do think that they win in Baltimore. They're 5.5-point dogs, but I think that they win outright. Offensively for the Ravens, they've looked bad over the last month. Lamar Jackson's clearly a step slower. He's dealing with the hamstring or knee, whatever's bothering him. I think that Pittsburgh, back against the wall, this just feels like a game that they win. Titans, Browns. Browns 3.5-point favorite. The Myles Garrett sack watch continues. 3.5-point favorites are the Browns. I'm going to take them to win and cover. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. The over-under is 33.5, and I would still feel confident taking the under. I think Cleveland wins this game somewhere along the lines of like 17-6, 17-10. And even then, you're still safe with the under. Myles Garrett chasing that sack record. Hopefully he gets it. And maybe he will in this game. Did he have 4 against the Raiders? He could do it again against Tennessee. Buffalo and Cincinnati. In Buffalo, the Bills are 5.5-point favorites. I will take the Bills to win, but I will take the Bengals to cover the spread. The Bengals are going to be able to take advantage of a Bills defense that's just not very good. Joey Bosa's not playing. Terrell Bernard's not playing. 2 of their better defenders on that side of the ball. And I think the Bengals are going to be able to be more explosive than the Bills in terms of the pass game. In the run game, I think that James Cook has a big day. He had a big day last week against Pittsburgh. I think he has another one against a run defense in Cincinnati that is just bad. So I think in terms of how both teams are going to go about it, the Bengals air attack with Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. I think the Bills are a little bit more conservative. I think it's the James Cook show. They just don't have the weapons out wide to take advantage of things consistently, where, Khalil Shakir, they haven't really used him downfield as much. He's become more of a screen merchant, which is, blasphemous in terms of what Joe Brady's doing with that offense. Now, look, maybe they get a big Gabe Davis touchdown downfield. Maybe they get a Brandon Cooks downfield touchdown. It's possible. And I wouldn't be surprised if and when that does happen. But I do think that the passing game for Cincinnati will be better. But the run game for Buffalo will be better. Over-under is 52.5. I would still probably lean under, just because I think the Bills are going to play the ball control game. I think this is a 27-24 win for the Bills. Broncos, Raiders. Denver -7.5 on the road against Vegas. I'll take Denver to win. I will take the Raiders to cover this game. The last time these two played on Thursday night, which was about as fun to watch as a colonoscopy. But the Raiders are bad. Defensively, they have something in terms of Max Crosby is good, but outside of Crosby, there's just not anybody worth watching. And offensively, they're a mess. Having said all that, these are divisional opponents. These games tend to be a little bit weird. It's a road game for Denver. So I'll take Denver to win. I'll take the Raiders to cover. Bears and Packers. Again, one of the best bets. I'll take Green Bay to win and to cover the 6.5-point spread. The Rams and Cardinals. I'll take the Rams to win to cover the 8.5-point spread. Sunday night, Houston, Kansas City. I don't know where to go with this. My gut is saying Chiefs -3.5. It's just eventually, my buddy Matt Verderame said this yesterday on Dave Damashek's show. It's Kansas City. It's the same way I feel about New England, where it's just like, all right, back against the wall. They need a win. They'll get the win. I know Houston's defense has been awesome over the last month. They got C.J. Stroud back last week, and they beat a Colts team that really vaulted them to being within a game of the division lead. But I think Kansas City gets the win at home. It's going to be a close game, but I do think it's by more than a field goal. So I'll take the Chiefs -3.5. Eagles, Chargers in Los Angeles. The Chargers 2.5-point dogs at home. Justin Herbert had the surgery on his hand. The Eagles are just a mess right now in terms of they can't do anything offensively. A lot of heat on Jalen Hurts. A lot of heat on offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo. I'm going to take Philadelphia. I'm not confident in it either way. But reigning Super Bowl champions, just more talent on offense. No Jalen Carter, which will help the Chargers in terms of the offensive side of the ball. But I am going to take Philadelphia here to get the win. And that is every game on the Week 14 slate. And if you're joining us live again, after the fact, head over and rewatch the best bet segment. 5 best bets. We'll recap them actually. You know what? We'll give them to you again right now. The best bets of the week. Atlanta +6.5 against Seattle. Green Bay -6.5 against Chicago. The under 41.5 between the Dolphins and the Jets. The Rams -8.5 on the road against Arizona. Pittsburgh +5.5 against Baltimore on the road. If you parlay all those together, +23.54 odds. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday to recap everything that went down in Week 14. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, helps out a lot. If you're listening as a podcast, leave a comment, leave a review, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Easy for me to say. See you guys Monday. This is the Pump Fake.